blockchain works, what are the basic components of blockchains, and no worries, nothing too technical this morning. Let's start with what is blockchain. In simple terms, blockchain is a digital ledger, and it's like an Excel on cloud but with superpower. There are three main characteristics that separate blockchains with the rest. First is append only. Append only means that you're only able to add new data into the blockchains and you cannot edit or delete the existing data. So it's like an Excel where you're only able to add new rows to it and you cannot change the past data. And the second characteristic is a list of transactions that are linked together. So a block contains multiple transactions, and all these blocks are linked together with something called hash. Hash is a simplified version of the data of the transactions. So imagine a block is like a Lego blocks, and blockchain is multiple Legos stacked together. So with these architectures and these characteristics, you are not able to remove one of the Lego block in the middles without affecting the rest. So this is the characteristics that makes the blockchain data immutable and virtually tamper-proof. And the third characteristic will be distributed architecture. It's not only one copy, but it's a lot of copies distributed across different places. So this makes sure that even if one of the copies is compromised, the data is still intact. So next, before we start going deeper into blockchain, we need to know what are the basic components that form a basic blockchain infrastructures. First is the transactions. So transactions means that any actions, any data changes, or any data movements recorded on blockchains will be recorded as a transactions. And next will be blocks. So when there are multiple confirmed transactions packaged together, you will package into something called block. And blocks will be distributed to all the nodes in the blockchain network so that everyone can keep a copy of that data. And besides the transactions data, the block also contains important information like timestamps and also the hash. And the third will be consensus algorithm. So consensus algorithm is like a set of rules that every node in the blockchain network follows to make sure that all the transactions are validated. And the fourth components will be nodes. So if you can imagine, nodes is like guardian angels of the blockchain network. It will hold an exact full copy of the data of the blockchain network distribution across different nodes and servers. So next, how does a blockchain work? First, when you want to do a transactions, it will start by a user initiating a transactions. So when a user initiates a transactions, user will need to sign the transaction with his own private key. So with this, it will authenticated that I'm the one that want to authorize these transactions. Once I authorize these transactions, it will be processing by the node and packaged into the block and then transfer to all the nodes that are participating in the blockchain network. And the fourth step, once the nodes validate the transactions, and depending on the consensus mechanisms like proof of work, you're probably going to receive some kinds of reward in returns. And once the distributions is complete, means that the data is fully finalized and it will become immutable and tamper-proof in the blockchain network. Blockchains is not a new technology, it's been here for 10 years, but it's been going through a lot of different evolutions. Bitcoin serves as a good use case to prove to the world that this has a practical implementations of blockchain in real world. But it's only the beginning of the real world implementations of blockchain. And when we go into phase 2, which is the creations of Ethereum, Ethereum introduced a very new concept on that time, which is called smart contracts. So smart contracts, imagine, is something like our system, but it's coded into the blockchain network. So blockchain with this is not only the data is immutable, but the logic, the system itself is also immutable. And besides Ethereum being the main one, there are also a lot of bigger players like Solana, Polygon, also born, and each offers their own capabilities. For example, addressing scalabilities, addressing interoperabilities. With the introductions of smart contracts, the use case of blockchains become more evident, and enterprises started to take notice. So here comes our phase 3, where some of the bigger MNCs and enterprises started implementing blockchains in their own technology stack and also their operations. So here will be things like Hyperledger that MIMOS are using right now, Quorum, which is a fork from Ethereum. They are focusing on private blockchains born to cater for this enterprise use case and business needs. And next would be the phase 4, which is the current one. All the players are focusing on solving some of the most critical barriers and obstacles that the blockchain industry are facing right now. First will be interoperability. So I think MIMOS is also one of the players that are working on this. And there are also other players, for example, Polkadot, they are solving this issue as well. Once we understand this, of course, it also means that blockchain is not a perfect technology set. It still has some of the barriers or shortcomings. So first will be unpredictable costs. So for example, if any one of you have made any transactions before, you know that the fees are based on how busy is the network and what is the price of the token right now. Second will be tech know-how. When you're building with a more conventional blockchain, you need to learn a lot of new tools, new programming language, for example, Solidity. And even for senior developers, it might take some time for them to learn the concept and also the programming languages. So this will be one of the main barriers that we see. Third will be high adoption costs. For example, when you want to set a new blockchain network, you not only need to spend a lot of money to build it on top, but later on when you want to maintain it, you also need to spend a lot of nodes and servers. So with these three barriers that we see, it forms the foundations of how Masverse create our own layer 1 blockchain, which is called Maschain. How we are planning to solve these three barriers is we are creating a new kind of layer for people to interact with, which is applications layer and service layer. So applications layer is very easy to understand. It's similar to what you're working on website right now or on mobile apps. The difference is just that it's all powered by Web3. So instead of all the data stored in the traditional database, it's storing in the blockchain network. This empowers people without any technical knowledge able to enjoy the benefits of blockchain. And the second is service layer. So service layers are layers targeted for developers and also builders. So service layers are leveraging one of the most popular protocols used by developers now, which is called RESTful API. So every software developers on your first day of jobs or even first month of jobs, you need to learn what is API already. We ensure that all of the people already have the technical knowledge on how to implement blockchains. First is we are solving tech know-how with RESTful API. Instead of spending months and years to learn new languages, tools and concepts, you just use back the technologies that you are familiar with. And second is, in our service layer, we are charging a fixed fees. Means that instead of 50 cents today, 158 later, we are charging 10 cents per transfer. Or depending on your transactions that you make, it may be varied, but it will be fixed. And best of all, it will be tier-based. Means that the more that you use, the cheaper it gets. And next will be high adoption costs. And you don't need, with integrating with Maschain, you don't need to host your own server, you don't need to revamp your whole things. Instead, you just connecting to us and pay for whatever transactions fees that you choose. So these are some of the services that we already have and already deployed in the market today. For example, wallet service, for you to able to create your own wallet, view the balance, everything related to wallet can be done through the APIs. So next will be token service. You're able to create your own token, you're able to mint token, transfer tokens, anything related to tokens. The fourth will be certifications, which is similar to token, it's just NFT. And the third will be audit trail. Audit trail is aimed to be a general use case where you are able to store any data into the blockchain. So for example, if you are building something like a supply chain system, so you just need to push all the data through this audit trail service. Hopefully I've given introductions a bit more on how Maschain works. So if anyone that are interested to build on top of Maschain, you can just go to maschain.com or go to masverse.com. You can find all the documentations there. Thank you.